Today we will be talking about the growth process of corn.
But first, here's some history on corn.
Corn is authentically American. It's a member of the grass family. It was first domesticated from a wild grain several thousand years ago by Aztec and Mayan Indians in Mexico and Central America.
The first corn was a loose potted variety that looked like the seed head at the top of a wheat stalk. The kernels were so small that each was covered with a hull.
Back then, people who raised what's now called field corn was eaten fresh, but most of the harvest was cooked into fried cakes.
Over the years, cross-pollination during cultivation caused genetic changes that transformed corn into the shape and size we know now.
Today, corn is more popular in this country than anywhere else in the world.
There are thousands of strains of corn with more than 200 varieties of sweet corn alone.
Now that we all have a little knowledge on the history of corn, let's move on to the growth process.
Whether you are growing field corn, popcorn, or sweet corn, they all grow in basically the same way.
First, you take the seed and plant it in an inch or two of soil.
The seed will then germinate between 5 to 12 days depending on the variety of corn you are growing, the temperature of the soil, and the amount of moisture in the soil.
In general, corn grows best when soil temperatures are near 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Corn plants increase in weight slowly early in the growing.
After the seed sprouts, it sends down a taproot and starts to develop its first leaves.
As it grows, corn develops a thick stalk and many flat-pointed leaves.
The stalk can grow as tall as 15 feet, depending on the climate and variety.
The roots of each plant grow down 3 to 5 feet and extend about 1 foot or so to each side of the stalk.
Some of the roots develop above ground.
These are called prop roots, and they serve as natural supports for the tall stalk.
When the stalk reaches about 2/3 its full height, its reproductive process starts. The plant first develops straw-colored tassels near the top.
About three days after corn tassels, the silk of the female flower appears.
The tassels contain pollen that falls down and is carried to the silk by.
Although it's possible for a corn plant to fertilize itself, the pollen usually travels to neighboring plants.
The next stage of corn's growth determines the flavor and texture of the kernels.
Newly formed corn kernels are full of liquid or milk.
The milk stage doesn't last long in most varieties because the plant's natural goal is to convert that liquid into starch.
If corn isn't harvested during the milk stage, the starch making process goes and turns the inside of each corn kernel hard. This is called the day stage.
The final stage of kernel development occurs when you harvest the stalks or if you dry them for winter.